This is my throwaway account because we share a Reddit page. I'll spare all the details involving why I know my husband has such a problem with porn because we would be here for hours trying to read it all. But long story short, my husband's porn addiction has ruined our sex life. He promises to change but never does. He always falls back into the same temptations. His need to watch it far outweighs anybody else's need for it. And let me be clear, he is never deprived of sex. I give it to him anytime, anywhere, and at the best of my abilities. But he still watches porn every single day. I would be okay with the occasional porn watching, especially in instances where I am not available to give it to him. Like Shark Week when we fight, or just the occasional fap, but he's always watching it. When he's at work, when he is showering, anytime he's alone, and definitely when I'm asleep. But my biggest problem is he pays for it. He has multiple subscriptions for it: Pornhub, Browser, Porn Comics, Bephoria, and maybe more. Now the last two may not be reoccurring subscriptions and more so just a one-time thing because I just found them, but we shall see next month. But if not, that's a whopping $95 a month in porn. And if the other two are just a one-time thing, then that's still $50 a month. It's to the point when we have sex, it's just that, sex. Almost like there's a wall between us. I do it for the practicality of getting off now and not the intimacy of it. Guys, the question is for you. Is this normal? How often do you look at porn when you are in a healthy, sexually satisfied relationship? Do you hide and clear your search history all the time if your partner has access and knows about it? I'm just so tired of being sad and uncomfortable. I don't even show the basic affection the same way as in hand-holding, cuddling, pillow talk act, and haven't for months. I just want the relationship my best friend and I used to have. Porn is not some innocent pastime. Porn isn't something that doesn't hurt those we love. Porn is destructive, to yourself and to those that love you. I used to be confident, self-assured, had pride in myself, and loved myself. Now, nearly 6 years later, I'm a shell of the person I used to be because of my husband's porn addiction. I've told my husband I didn't want him watching porn many times, but I never really stayed on him about it until recently. When I get on his phone, I look at his history, and he clears the window on Safari, but not the history. I asked him 2 days ago on Friday if he watched any, and he can be honest, he looked at me in my face and said no in the most confident way. Little did he know I was on his phone the night before and saw his history, and he watched it on Thursday's night when I was at work. I tell him to always tell me when he's in the mood and be down, but he rarely does. And I understand that I wasn't there, but why couldn't he wait until I got off? Recently, I've been really turned off and don't want to have sex with him since I saw it. He hasn't been engaging with me like he used to, and our sexual relationship is just not the same. I don't know what to do anymore. I feel like it sets unrealistic expectations in his head of what sex is like, and the more he watches it, I can tell he doesn't know how to engage with me anymore. It's all for him and never for me. I watched, year after year, my husband ogle other women right in front of me, literally fantasizing about these women, while sitting right next to me holding my hand. I learned how time after time my husband preferred to sit in some dirty, nasty public bathroom for God only knows how long, watching God only knows what and jerking off to the point of injury, instead of coming home and making love to his willing and waiting wife. I now know that during our lovemaking, all my husband thinks about are nameless women and is fucking them in his head, and just using my body as a means of doing this. And I get we all have temptations and think about things. We all see a fat ass or amazing boobs and look, but when he watches it, I can see that he cannot control his lust, and it's embarrassing to me. We'll be at the gym, and he's looking at every girl that walks by. I'm not saying porn made him like this, but it definitely doesn't help with not being able to control himself. There's no tolerance. He doesn't even know how to not satisfy his urges, and that's a huge turn off for me, the lack of control and dismissing my boundaries that I clearly set, and integrity is a big thing for me. If I can't trust you whenever I'm not looking, then what's the point of being with someone? There's more, so much more, but it hurts too much to talk about it. I had caught him a few times. He rationalized his behavior, promised to stop and told me he had. For years. Now I found out it's never stopped. Not once. He's been lying to me for years, and now finally, when he's literally destroyed the person who loved him more than life itself, he's ready to change. Why did his recovery have to come at my expense? Why did his willingness to finally get help and admit to what he's been doing to me all the years have to happen when I've reached rock bottom? And now I'm supposed to continue to support him to make it easier for him so he doesn't relapse, be kind and sweet and not talk about it with him, so that he can continue to succeed. While I watch him take quick peeks at bikini girls on TV or quick glances at young girls in tight yoga pants at the store, I'm supposed to make it easier for him when I no longer want to live, when I don't sleep, when I hurt myself to take away the inner pain my husband's addiction has caused me. So, for those of you that think this is harmless, you are dead wrong. If you think that hiding it makes it ok, you are wrong. I would never have married him had I known he had any sort of addiction: drugs, alcohol, gambling, or sex. I had the right to know about it. I had the right to know what I was marrying into, to make that decision for myself if I could accept it. But that choice was taken away from me. For the sake of your loved ones, be honest from the beginning. Don't take away their right to decide. Because for me, at this point, it's a matter of my own life or death if I stay. I will update you with my story in a while. It's all too overwhelming to do at once. I need to gather my emotions at this moment. I am sorry to keep you hanging. I promise I will update this. It's been just over 2 years since I first learned of my husband's addiction. It's hard to read my initial post. Man, was I in a deep, dark hole. That hole only grew too, and I saw some pretty dark times in the months to come. For those who offered kind words, sympathy, offered advice, and reached out, thank you. For those of you who did the opposite, all I can say is I hope and I pray that you never have to experience what I have in the past. Over the last 2 years, I have been dealt many disclosures and admissions. Each one was worse than the last. What I thought was a pornography and masturbation addiction turned out to be far worse. I can say this has been the most humbling experience, and I have learned that unless you are in someone's place, you really have no idea of what you would do, regardless of what you think you would do. It's also been humiliating, degrading, tormenting, and isolating in ways that are unimaginable. Some will say I'm weak for staying as long as I have, but they are wrong. It takes great strength to wake up every day and face the same demons with determination to slay them every single day. Some days I wanted to die. Other days I wanted to run. Yet every day I chose to keep fighting until I no longer felt like dying or running. For those of you who are struggling with this addiction, if there is anything I hope to have gained out of all we've been through and all that I have patiently endured, it is this. Pornography is a drug, and a powerful one at that. It lures you in with the promise of pleasure and excitement, and when it is done with you, then what? You are alone. Sitting in a dark room with nothing but the lights of a computer screen as a companion. Alone. Standing in a bathroom with your phone in your hand as your lover. Alone. Laid back on your sofa, staring at a frozen television screen after your video has ended. Alone. Then the shame comes. The shame of once again giving in to this temptation. The shame that you couldn't stop yourself yet again. The shame of your secret and that you choose fantasy over your partner. The one person who's there every day to support you, to love you, to live a life with, yet you seek sexual release behind his / her back, knowing they deserve better, knowing this is wrong. But it doesn't end there. No, pornography is not done with you yet. Erectile dysfunction. Viewing pornography that is progressively hardcore or material you never dreamed you would view, or worst case scenario, illegal pornography, and I promise you it will happen. Like any drug, you build a tolerance. Then, when fantasy isn't enough, you physically start acting out. Cheating, public masturbation, stalking, window peeping, the list goes on. Will porn be there to keep you warm at night? Will porn wrap its comforting arms around you when you are grieving a loss? Will porn give you a family to fill your home with warm memories? Will porn build a life with you? Or would you rather look back and think about all the times you masturbated while your wife slept? Or how you'd rather miss your kids' school concert so you can have time alone to get off? You are the one missing out. This isn't a life. You are at the mercy of pornography, and the price you pay is far more than you realize. You aren't just hurting yourself, you're hurting those you say you love. I can promise you, your partner isn't going to be angry. They're going to be hurt that you would rather turn to fantasy than to them, and they deserve better. You deserve better. For anyone who's interested in knowing, I'm alive and well, although if I were honest, I didn't know if I would be. My husband's addiction had many layers, and everything that was safe to me had been violated in one way or another, and I no longer had safety. I had nowhere to go, no one to talk to, because if anyone knew what my life was, I would be ostracized. My kids would have been ostracized. I had far more to lose than just a marriage. After feeling about as low as anyone could, I decided to have cosmetic surgery. For me, and I feel amazing about myself again. I also went back to school to get my master's degree, with a plan to specialize in addictions. I'm 1 to 2 years in, with 1 to 2 years left. All is thus far. Maybe I'll open my own practice. Maybe I'll move. Who knows? What I do know is that I'm not limited. Do I still have days that are rough? Absolutely. But I fight. Every damn day, I fight back. I love myself. I love who I have become, and I have had to pay dearly for the person I am today. My last disclosure was 5 months ago, when I learned my husband was using his job to get entrance into women's homes and use their personal items for his pleasure. My advice to anyone and everyone out there, please get cameras installed. He also went window peeping on the night of my birthday 6 months ago. Yes, you read that right. The next month, my husband entered treatment. Am I still married? Yes, but with very strong boundaries. I made him disclose his actions to his employer. He is no longer allowed to work alone. Period. I have a tracking app so that I can make sure if he's not frequenting public places to act out. He has an app that monitors his screen activity so that he cannot access pornography. He does not use credit cards so that he cannot purchase anything without me knowing. These were the conditions I made clear to him if we were to stay married, or he could leave at any time. He chose to stay. After an inpatient treatment 1,000 miles away and $25,000 later, he recognizes now how ill he was, and he will always be an addict, and he never wants to go back to that place again. He is willing to do what he knows he needs to do to stop that from happening. He has little self-control, and he has told me and his therapist that I have saved his life, and he is forever grateful that even with the boundaries, I stood by him and I fought for something far greater than just our marriage. Are the boundaries too much? Maybe, but he's welcome to leave any time. I am not concerned with protecting the addict, but I will protect him, myself, and society to the best of my abilities. To conclude this post, I would like to say that pornography is not what you think it is. Many of these people in pornography are victims of sex trafficking, childhood sexual abuse, prostitution, and forced into this life with drugs, manipulation, abuse, fear tactics, and many others. It is a business that supports the continuation of all of these things, and I encourage you to please check out the Fight the New Drug site. If you are not a part of the solution to combat this, then you are part of the problem, and as long as you support pornography, you are supporting the continuation of abuse of thousands of children, women, and men